Hello and welcome to LarpWright. Today I'm going to show you how to make splint armor. Splint armor Greaves or shin guards to be exact. That would look good on a Viking-style character or anyone who goes to a village blacksmith to have his armor made. So if that is interesting to you, stay tuned and I show you exactly how I made them. Let's talk about leather. Stay away from synthetic leather or split hide, sometimes called buckskin. Those won't give you good results. They will look terrible after some time, they don't wear very well, and they are not tough enough for what we are doing. So use real leather. This, which I'm holding in my hands, is about 1.5 millimeter thick cattle leather, and this is good to make bags from or clothing from, but it's too soft and stretchy to make a plate carrier for armor out of, so we will be using something thicker. This is 2 millimeter thick cattle leather, and this is still flexible but pretty tough. This is good material to make satchels from, boots, or use as a plate carrier to make splint armor. So this is what we'll be using. If you want to make leather armor, you need something like this. This is 4 millimeter thick cattle leather, and in its raw form it's still flexible and easy to cut, and actually it's more decorative than really armor. But if you harden it in boiling water or with hot wax, it becomes bone hard and really tough. I will show this in a future video. For now, let's make the splint armor. Let's start by making a template out of this cardboard here. You need your cutter, pen, and some measuring tape. We start by measuring our lower leg. So measure it at the top, the middle, and the bottom, right at your ankle. And also don't forget to measure it on the leg. This gives us our rough measurements for the shin guards, but you don't want to make shin guards that go all the way around your lower leg. That would make it a bit hard to move in. It can be done, but it makes the process more complicated. So we actually make it a bit smaller than our measurements. I'd say I use about half. Using my trusty small tailor's triangle, just sketch directly onto the cardboard and make the template. This is your basic shape. Let's cut it out. And try it on, see if it fits how you imagined it, or if you have to trim it down further or make it bigger. This one fit right away. So, if you have an unsymmetric design, you can just flip it over. You should mark which is right and left. Doesn't really matter for this design, it's symmetric. And I always transfer my designs onto the back of my leather, then cut it out, dye it and go on. But this time around I'm cheating, because I'm actually modifying very old Greaves I've built like 6 years ago. And now I repurposed them as the carrier material for my Splint Greaves. And these have a little bit more fancy design. There are more parts to it. So I cut it down to this simpler design. Don't even bother marking it, just cut it down. And the other leg as well. Let's get started on the metal parts. Wearing some gloves, because this came out pretty sharp right out of the box. These are 1.5mm thick, 40mm wide and 1000mm long metal bars. I got cheap off Amazon and I got a lot of them. I'm using about 5 side by side for the Greaves. I'm just making sure they are centered, marking them with a pen. Then leave a bit of extra. You don't want them to go right to the edge. You want to leave a bit of room so they don't chafe anywhere. And I'm cutting them with some sheet scissors, and that was actually really hard to cut them. So using a metal saw is probably the right way to do this. This is just mild steel, can't be hardened or anything. It's very soft and easy to bend. I really wouldn't go any thinner than 1.5. Then it's just too sharp, and even if you deburr it and make it as blunt as you can on your belt sander with metal belts like I'm doing here, 1mm, everything below 1.5 is just too thin, too sharp, needs too much work to make it safe. And something like 2mm is probably too heavy. These Greaves are already pretty heavy, and if you have been wearing them all day, you'll be very happy to take them off in the evening, I can tell you. So I'm making sure they are blunt on all edges and that the corners are rounded off. Just make sure it's nice and safe for everyone. To fasten them to the leather, I'm using hollow rivets and a drill bit that is just wide enough for the wider part of the hollow rivet to go through the holes, 3.5mm in this case, using a center punch to mark where I want to drill, and this not only marks the spot but also gives the drill a starting point to bite into. Drill at a moderate pace, so your drill bit doesn't become too hot and lose its temper and then become dull very fast. Maybe you want to cool it in water. Putting a bit of oil on the drill bit helps drilling as well. WD-40 or ballistol will just do fine. And then drill out the holes. Make sure you don't drill into your table, and drill out all of them. Next step, purely optional, but I thought these were still way too shiny, so I'm throwing them in a nice coal fire, sure they are well covered, and I'm using an airbrush system, a blower, to get the fire nice and hot. Then I just let them cool in the air. This is mild steel, can't be hardened at all, so I don't have to worry about tempering them or anything. Now that they are cooled down, I rub them down in some ballistol and just look at the difference to the unburned shiny bars that are still laying on the table. Looks much more village blacksmith authentic, more interesting as well, got some texture to it. Now that I've got all of them drilled and burned, I look how they fit onto the greaves, onto the leather, and I decided to space them out a bit. Happy with it, starting from the outside, then using my punching pliers to punch through the holes, put in the bottom part of the rivet on the metal and the top part of the rivet, using my riveting tools to hammer them into place. Other side starting on the outside as well. And then I work my way right up to the middle, just to make sure it's all nice and evenly spaced and looking good. I suppose you could lay all of the metal bars on it, then mark where the holes are going to be, punch all of your holes, then just start at one side riveting them to the leather. If you want to know more about using hollow rivets, I've got a special video just for that on my channel. Last splint on this greave, and it's time to fasten some leather straps to fasten to your leg. Originally on the old design they went around the outside, which does give an interesting look, but kind of pinches the greaves together and doesn't fit all that well on the leg. So for this I go more conventional and fit the straps to the edges using 2 rivets each. And for this I'm using my anvil to hammer it into place. 1 done. 3 more to go. So, trying out how it fits onto the leg and punching holes into the straps at the right space. And then I trim down the excess length with some scissors. That is the fitting process. Let me quickly show you how to fasten the buckle to the leather strap. Start by folding it. I use my hole punches to punch through both folds, and I cut a long hole. There are hole punches to make long holes, but I don't have them, and if you don't have the tools, this is an easy way to do it. and the pin from the buckle can move freely. And I'm using 2 rivets to hold it all into place, but you could also sew it all together. A few tabs on the anvil under the table. This will hold. This is small leather ring I made before for the strap to go through. I wore these to one LARP and found out that with just rivets and the 4 corners it doesn't hold well enough. So I put 2 more rivets onto each splint right bang in the middle to make it sit more flush on the leather. And this finishes the build. Hope you liked this video. Thanks and goodbye.